to get this started?
He's got
it's the same premise as 5 and 5, but we're going to do 10 comics, maybe a couple extras, but we're going to do 10 and 10. And we're going to start our clock now because I do have a clock. So these are our top 10 comics in 10 minutes. These are not always going to be hot books. Some of these are going to be books that are actually down. These are just 10 comics to talk about because they are interesting in one way or another. Our first book being Incredible Hulk, a 7.0, sold as our big ticket item for $88,000. $88,000. Comic Link auction ended on the 22nd. 65 bids. 7.0.
Yeah. When you see some of these weird numbers, as JJ says, some of these weird numbers are going crazy. I mean, there's a lot of books that are not hitting all-time sales, but still 88,000 for this book.
I think this actually was. I think I was looking at. I think this might be an all-time for this grade.
Yeah, especially in that
this
grade.
Might be an all-time for this grade.
Although I feel this is a lot more rare than some. I mean, some of the other.
I'd agree.
Hulk's gonna be tough. Especially here's our other big ticket item. This is only a 1.5, mind you, but at Heritage, this one sold last week for $27,000 plus.
You know how much you can get away with to get a 1.5?
1.5.
A fucking lot.
27 grand.
Can't read the notes. I'm sure that cover's probably completely off there.
Oh, you can see it. Look.
You'd have everything up to one fucking staple.
Piece missing there. Looks like the staples.
I mean, I'm sure it's detached cover, right?
This looks like tape.
Probably got
down
it
the line here.
That is, if it's yellow, they call it post tape, so that's how it's sticking the cover together. Big chunks missing. Don't even show the backside. Shit.
Still 27 grand.
Dude, that's nice.
All right, now to get into our regular books. We talked about some of these things earlier in the show. Indie options. So AWA had this optioned, and this was last week. This was a hot book. It's hitting hot 10 lists here and there. Was selling pretty well. Hotel or Hell, however we want to look at it. Had about 30 plus sales. It was selling just today, and was this today and yesterday? $20, $15. This book you could probably still find a cover if you hit your LCS.
Yeah. To me, I'll just say it. Indie options are terrible investments.
It's tough because, like I said, there's 30 sales, and that's
your
the
window
last
to
week,
sell is so small.
but it's kind of slowed down.
Well, the other thing is you're banking on option. Option doesn't mean it's going to get made. It's just
it's also true
on hold. So
sit in development hell for
just like we discussed this one earlier, where this got optioned and announced today. There's 8 billion genies, and today there's also a 1 in 50 if you want this sparkly, glittery cat. Just to put that out there, there's that, and
that looks
I think Kyle showed off his store variant that Mario 3, but there's 20 sales when I did this. This before the show started. There's 20 sales today following the announcement.
And the 1 in 50 was still selling for under ratio.
A lot of these things, am I the ones that feel like store variants like make the A cover the rarest cover sometimes for these? I know it's had a 1 in 50 sometimes, right? The case, but yeah,
it had a 1 in 50 on this, but the 1 in 50 is less. I mean, I've read this book. It seems like it's plausible. There is a Michigan time. I mean, especially if you're gonna just put it on fucking Amazon, like there's something.
You say Amazon like it's garbage. Like Amazon has money. It's Amazon.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. It does look like it fits the Amazon mold. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Well,
I think it could.
The problem with that is like.
Go ahead.
Even if it fits like a Netflix or an Amazon, like you're gonna get like a season or 2 seasons normally streaming.
Oh yeah. I
mean there's exceptions like The Boys, but
we'll see.
And there's only 2 issues into it too. So
we'll see. This was also the hot book from last week because of the controversy in how this was written, and there were articles. I don't get why people were buying this just because of that, but they were paying last week $20, $25, where this week, after 175 sales, mind you, this was today. It's selling for $5 and $10 now.
Yeah,
So this is why you got to watch FOMO, and this is why you got to watch jumping on bandwagons. Because
did people think it was going to be like recalled or something? Is it?
I have no idea. It's just because it's badly written. So let's all go buy it.
But once it's out there on the recall, I mean.
It's the spec market though, because like what is it? You're getting Miles Morales. So anything Miles Morales is usually hot. You're getting his first appearance as Thor. So it's just like all this stuff that people can roll into this stuff
here
to try and push
Matt,
it.
this is my not my question, but this is an interesting point about the spec market, because again, I try to talk about books that are more undervalued or underpriced, but when you talk about spec, let's look at our next book. Our next book is the first appearance of a character who just showed up on Disney Plus show today. This is the first Red Dagger in Ms. Marvel number 12. This book is selling now for 20, 25 bucks, 10 bucks today and yesterday, when we knew the character was coming on a show today. But months ago, this was selling for $25, $35 when people were hoping this character would show up. And then when he actually does show up, the sales are half or less. It's weird.
Yeah, and the character was actually good too.
And exactly, the character was good. Like, I liked the character.
Yeah, like that's weird. I mean,
but like that seems like a case of like people buying like crazy from the trailer and then it cooling off. And
well,
now
he
we'll
wasn't
see
even
what
in like the first trailer he actually showed up in was yesterday, I think, when they actually showed that he was going to show up. It was speculated we'd get him.
Could it just be market downturn?
There is a lot of market.
Part of the market.
A lot of the other people looking at it, like even on what would be considered higher keys, there's been a real big downturn.
And then Marco pointed this book out.
This is a book I like, but so I'm watching.
I do like it too. It's first Alpha Flight, but why are people buying Alpha Flight all of a sudden to the tune of like $80 to $100 raw, different grades, $1,200 $9.6?
Yeah, like in the last
week, for whatever reason, there's like 24 sales at least.
Yeah, 20 sales I think in the last week. I think close to 40 this month. Most of them graded too. The last week I think they had like 14 or 15 graded sales of this book selling. I mean, not huge money on it, obviously. I mean, the $1,200,
but it's like all of us. Yeah, to me, $1,200 is a solid amount for.
Yeah. But this
is it's a 9.6 too.
So the case of Hans and Franz.
But you see a lot of it. Like, this is the weird part. I see what you're saying, Joe, but for the last 3 years, this hasn't been the case. This is going back to like 2018 when that was the thing. Now stuff's starting to fall off. So
yeah, a little bit. All right. Well, a book that actually was pretty strong. It was strong last week. Marco's favorite.
120 has been kind of hit or miss, but like the volume that has sold in the last 7 days, last 8 days.
It's surprising. It's surprising for that one.
More than sold in a long time. So,
but what's also surprising is this book, your Black Adam, which you were a big fan of.
Yeah.
It's now selling for 160 plus.
Wow.
For this 1 in 100. Granted, it's a 1 in 100. It's a foil, but even last week when it was selling pretty well, it was only selling for 110, 120. It's selling a little over ratio. Now it's selling well over ratio still a week later. So this is like trending upwards as opposed to dropping below ratio.
On the ratios like this, though, like, do you guys feel like it's because books like this that shops know is coming? The shops charge so much more for them anymore, I feel like.
It's possible.
Like you go online, like this book was like 120, 140 bucks.
Pre-sales could be tough.
Yeah, but we'll see something. I think we bring it up later in one of our misses, but in the overtime. But go ahead.
Next. All right, yeah, we got a minute 40 left. We still have 2 books left. Robert Fordham tipped me off to this one. This is an Australian edition of the first Mr. Freeze. This is Batman. Well, it says 109, but as you know, on our side, it would be 21. First Mr. Freeze. Australian edition sold for best offer on $725. It sold for £475, which is $575. Thank you to our foreign correspondent, Robert Fordham, who's going to give us some foreign comic information as we go through this. Cool. Interesting sale. And this was from a couple of weeks ago. This is not this past week. This was from a few weeks ago, but the foreign market is different.
Okay. How many books do we have? Because we're not going to make 10. And 10.
We got one more. Which is our book to watch this week. Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog, number 50. This 1 in 25. I looked at it. I saw it. I didn't like it. I didn't order it, even though I like Sonic. I made a mistake because this is selling for $100 to $140 now.
Yeah.
For this 1 in 25.
Sonic variants do well.
Yeah, you get now for a while. Sonic variants just sat.
They sat.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Like I said, this one was there. This one was there for pre-order last week. Like there were some online stores you could order this from. I thought about it and I was like, I don't know if I want to pay like 40 or whatever they were asking for this. And I said no. I made a mistake.
Yeah, I will say this, Joe. That always does. What our point with that X-Men book was like the amount of volume that it sold to sell that.
It's in the
many
last
books.
week. It was for whatever reason. It was a rush.
This is crazy too. Yeah, as soon as I told Pete, I was like, Pete, we're gonna watch this Sonic book. He goes, really? I was like, yeah. I didn't know that you passed on it. Sorry.
Well, there we go. Yeah, I passed on it, and there was our 10 minutes. But we do have a little bit of overtime. So sorry, fellas.
Was it soccer?
Overtime.
Because, as I said, we don't want to just talk about hot books. We also want to talk about some interesting things like this particular book.
Oh, this dog shit. Yeah.
This art germ. 1 in 100.
This is where you were talking, JJ, about the 1 in 100s, and you're like, oh, they are. This one, I think a lot of the prices were like, first off, I mean,
the asking prices are there.
They're at like where you
know what sold?
Yeah, none.
Mm-hmm. One sold back in May for $150, but
it's like everybody's afraid to ask like below ratio anymore.
Yeah, I think that's where it's
hurting.
I think it's really where it's hurting.
Unloads it.
Yeah. I mean,
this one is our stinker for the week. Yeah.
I think this book, if we go back and look at it in a month, people are going to be selling these for like half ratio.
Yeah, it's going to be $50-$60 for a 1 in 100.
So was this a trade dress cover too?
There was a trade. Yes, there was a trade.
I feel like Art Germ was stuck with those.
Yeah, which also stinks for a 1 in 100.
Like, why wouldn't I buy just the trade dress for $5?
Yeah, it kills it. If I can get the trade dress, which is minimal trade dress already, for $5, why would I pay $150 for this? Which is still what people are asking for it, but it's just not selling.
Yeah.
And here's one more interesting one.
A couple years you might get for $1.
No, I don't even get a 1/100 for $1. But hey,
we do find them every once in a while, dude. We've proved that before.
Tomb of Dracula, 9.6. I saw this. I thought this was a big ticket item contender, $10,000. But then when I looked at it, wait a second. This thing sold for $15,000 back in April, and now it's $10,000. Oof.
Yeah, there's a lot of books that we were going through that was just like, yeah, that seems like a big number.
Go for about 10,000.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a lot of books that are losing lots of money on. So
it's all timing. It's timing, and who's got the cash to spend on these big ticket like these. This is a playground I don't play in. I don't have $10,000 to be throwing on comics. My wife would fucking kill me if I tried to do this.
Yeah, it's just interesting, and we're gonna do more of these too in the overtime because I think there was like 10 or 12 books that we looked up in the last couple sales.
Yeah, they just dropped. Like we were like, hey, we can put this. Nope, it's actually down. Like
low,
but 2 to 3 down.
Years.
I just think the way the world is right now, man, comic book sales are dropping everywhere.
That's true. I mean, that's recent. That's recent.
eBay. It's happening. This is happening at Heritage too.
Yeah,
it's happening everywhere. I mean, it depends. Like some books are still doing well.
You can see the $15,000 was on Heritage.
It is summer. But guess what? That summer hasn't hit us for 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was COVID, so there was no summer. Everybody was home.
Mm-hmm.
No vacation. I do have color changing light money, and for $19 at Walmart, you too can have color changing money.
But that was our list. That was our 10 and 10 with a little bit of extra overtime.